I want to see how much fuel I can save from just being economical. I'm not going to put any special measures in place where I'm not doing the speed limit when it's safe to. I'm going to have the air conditioning on, it's set to 20 degrees, it's hot and muggy outside. I have no interest in being uncomfortable inside this car, but I'm just going to do the same route twice, one driving economically, the other where I'm accelerating a bit more briskly. I'll explain my driving as I do it. I'm going to try and keep the route fair by filling up at the petrol station at the start of the route and at the end ready for the next time I do it. So it's going to be a full tank both times, and I'm not only going to be relying on the car's trip computer to tell me what miles per gallon I'm getting, I'm going to be testing it myself. Also, it tells me how long the journey is, so I'll be able to see how much time being economical is actually costing me. The only thing I'm going to change about my car today is I'm going to remove the learner roof box, because that does actually cost me some economy. At 70 miles per hour on a long journey, it seems to reduce my fuel economy by around about 5 miles per gallon. I've just filled up at a local Tesco petrol station. It's local to me and it's usually one of the cheaper ones in the area, and I've used cheap fuel. I always use cheap fuel. I don't want to get into discussion as to why that's not what this video is about, but I've reset the trip computer for both how many miles I've done and the economy. It hasn't actually registered how many miles per gallon I've done yet, because I've just done a very short journey from the fuel station to this parking space, because I'm going to need somewhere to stop on each route. So I've already actually started the route. This is just one of my stops. I'll include this stop in the eco route as well to make it fair. Anyway, let's get going. So I'm leaving Tesco supermarket now, and on this route I'm going to be accelerating briskly, but not so brisk that it makes the passenger feel uncomfortable. I won't be breaking the speed limit, and I'm going to have the air conditioning on, as I will do in both tests as I've explained. It's just about the difference between accelerating hard, braking hard, or accelerating gently and braking gently. How much of a difference does that make to your fuel economy? I'm obviously not going to accelerate very hard in here because I'm in Tesco car park, driving very carefully. But when there is an opportunity for me to put my foot down a little bit and rev the engine a bit more than I really necessarily need to, I will. Okay, I've got 16.6 miles per gallon so far, just leaving Tesco. I might be able to accelerate a bit more quickly here when I try and get going on this roundabout. I normally change up at about 2,000 RPM, but you know what, let's get going like that, up to 3, and just accelerate a bit more quickly than I need to. Maybe get up to 30 miles an hour in second, up to gear 3 now, and into gear 4. I will use the cruise control as well to try and help me stay within the speed limit when it's safe for me to do so. And I'd usually brake a bit earlier, but I'm going to brake a bit later this time. So there we go, just braking a bit later here. I was over the brake to stop it going over the speed limit down the hill, but I normally brake gently towards this junction. And when you do that, you tend to save fuel. On that occasion though, a bit later. I could have done it later if there wasn't pedestrians there, but obviously I don't want to scare the pedestrians. I was accidentally slightly economical there. Need to try and remember to accelerate more harshly out of the roundabouts. I generally drive quite economically, so I'm going left at this roundabout here. I'll go right, that's part of the route. Nearly forgetting my route. Braking a little bit later than I'll normally do. I'll get around this roundabout. It's braking there, didn't need to accelerate that quickly. So I have to brake, and now just, there we go, up to 30 in second, like so. I'm going to keep that up and see what economy I get. Here's an example of a mini roundabout, going in at full speed, then braking late, down into second, and then accelerating harshly again. Not uncomfortably, I don't think. I don't think a passenger's going to feel uncomfortable with how I'm driving, but it's just not as smooth as it could be. I've been in plenty of cars where people drive like this. I don't feel uncomfortable. It just feels a little bit wasteful and a bit unnecessary. There you go, later braking, harder accelerating, later gear changes. That's the difference of today's driving. Simple as that. I'm in traffic now, so there's not a lot I can do about accelerating harshly. I'm going to have to accelerate gently, but I'll change up the gears a bit later than usual. Usually I'll be in gear 3 by now, but I'm just staying in gear 2. trying to change up at around about 2,500 to 3,000. In some cars it's necessary. In this car, it really isn't necessary. It produces so much torque low down that if you change up at 2,000 RPM and the revs go down to about 1.5, it still pulls like a train. It really does go. Many people claim that when you keep the revs low, that is harmful for the engine. Well, if you keep them really low, but this isn't a 1970s Ferrari where I need to keep it above 2,000 RPM. It's a modern car, and modern cars are designed to rev low. They can rev at 1,500, 1,500 all day long with no problem. There is an argument that driving gently will clog up the intake valves on a modern direct injected car. That's partly true, but if you're driving around town, you're not going to be driving hard enough to burn that off anyway. You need to be doing motorway speeds for long periods of time. That stuff does get on the back of the valves, doesn't get cleaned with fuel as it used to in the older cars when the fuel was injected before the valve, because it's injected after the valve gets dirty. Some cars or some engines are better than others, but yes, if you do a lot of town driving, it's going to be worse. I haven't always been changing up at 3,000 RPM. I have been changing up a bit earlier, a bit later, bit of a mixture, but generally heavy footed. I'm now coming into a national speed limit rural road. I'm going to make use of the speed limit and I'm going to accelerate a bit more quickly than is necessary. I really wanted to do a normal drive versus an economical drive, but the trouble is my normal driving is quite economical, so it wouldn't be much different. So I'm trying to replicate how some of my friends drive, a little bit more heavy footed, and how many people I see drive. Not everyone, but generally speaking, I tend to accelerate and brake more gently than most other people I get in the car with. I'm trying to replicate their driving a little bit. Maybe I'm going a little bit too over the top, but I can't do it exactly. National speed limit sign, out of the 30 into the 60. Let's get going. I know there's a slower moving vehicle up ahead. I've already caught up with them once. They didn't slow down for the 30, which is why they got away. But slow moving vehicles on roads like this do seem to save you fuel. I've got up to nearly 35 miles to the gallon being stuck behind them. So it's a blessing in disguise in a way. So I'm catching them now. I'm going to slow down, and because they're not really accelerating and braking between the bends, I'm going to have a more consistent speed for a while, and that's going to help my economy. Already 35.5, 35.6. It's quite hard to get less than 30 in this car. I mean, I'm sure I could if I really tried. I'm not being extreme today. I will be rev matching some of the downshifts on this route, the one where I'm being less economical. It's not necessary. It does make driving smoother. You could say it helps save the clutch as well, but it does use a little bit more fuel. I'm sure it doesn't use much because you're just revving the engine when it's not under load, but I'm sure it uses a tiny amount. So on the eco trip I'll do, I won't rev match either. This number here tells you which gear I'm in. If I go to 4, it will say 4, but it will also recommend the gear that's most economical for the current conditions, how fast I'm driving and how hard I'm on the accelerator. As I'm off the accelerator now, it's not asking me to go up to gear 6 because it knows that I'm slowing down, and a lower gear actually helps you slow down. If I go too slow for the gear, like this, it will also recommend I go down a gear. Is it going to do that? Come on, there you go, down to 3. It's a bit slow-witted there, but that is a helpful tool in trying to determine what's the best gear you can be in for economy. So it's already asking for gear 6, but I want to accelerate a bit quicker, so I'll ignore that and get going. It actually then asks for gear 5 because I was accelerating harder, and it knows that gear 5 is now a better gear for the level of acceleration I'm asking for. It won't ask me to go up a gear from accelerating hard because it knows that's not going to help me accelerate hard, and it's trying to help me do what I want to do whilst being economical. I've done about half the distance now, 20 miles, and the fuel economy is 37.6, which is impressive. The next half of the journey will get me better fuel economy because, well, there's nice long straights like this, I'm not going to be accelerating and braking as much, so the way I drive is going to have less of an impact on my fuel economy. And as I'm keeping it legal, keeping it within the limit, I'm not going to be driving faster than I would be on the eco run I'll do soon. I'm now in Tiptree. It's a village in Essex famous for jam. Wilkins and Sons is the company. Ever had that? That comes from this little place. I quite like the ketchup. Anyway, 39.4 miles per gallon, partly responsible because I was stuck behind a bus for a little while in a lot of national speed limit areas. So I was doing 30 to 40 when I could have been doing closer to 60, and 26 miles complete so far. Ooh, 40 to the gallon now. I'm just about to go on the dual carriageway part of the journey. I think the fuel economy is partly down to me being stuck behind a bus and to slower moving cars, meaning I've actually been a lot slower than I would have been if I had had free rein of the road. It's 60 now, about to be 70 as I get onto the dual carriageway. Accelerating fairly quickly up to 60 there. Bit brutal with the throttle. Now it's 70, joining the A12 dual carriageway, which runs through Essex, not the safest in the country. Does more than just Essex, does Suffolk, Norfolk as well, goes down into London. Quite a few accidents on this road, very busy at the moment. A lot of it's 2 lanes. Looks like I'm going to have to slow down for this car who wants to move out. There's no way I'm going to change lane. If I can get up to 70, I will. Here we go. Down into third, fewer revs. Now I'm doing close to 70 and I have the option of either going back to lane 1 there and then catching up with someone slowing down to about 60 like that red lorry, or staying in this queue which is doing a little bit faster than lane 1. Technically I should be in lane 1 unless I'm overtaking. What do you think? Does this count as overtaking? Waiting in lane 2 in this queue to pass those lorries that were quite far ahead? Should I be moving back to lane 1, catching up with the slower moving vehicles, then waiting to change lane 2? Or should I just stay put here in lane 2 and wait until I pass the vehicles? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. A lot of the 70 road was between 65 and 70 because of traffic, and this last bit has been 40 because of this temporary speed limit. I think it finishes soon and becomes national speed limit again, which is odd because I'm approaching a roundabout. I like how they do that. They give you a low limit and then give you the high limit. There we go, just before the bends and the roundabout. Yeah, I'd normally be braking now for the roundabout, but I'm going to wait until a roundabout here. About, yeah, there. Now I'll brake down into second gear, going ahead, second exit. Looks clear. Can't accelerate too much here, we've got a car in front. Back in Colchester now. I'm going to do some more town driving. Coming to the end of that route now, I've done 39.8 miles and the economy has been 41.6 miles per gallon. Now it's time to fill up and see if the trip computer, the economy trip computer, is lying. So I've filled up, I've got some numbers. Average speed of 29 miles per hour, 41.5 miles per gallon according to the trip computer, and 39.9 miles covered. But we have a bit of a problem. I filled it up, it clicked off, I had 0.8 something gallons I filled it up with. I worked it out exactly how many gallons down to 3 decimal places, and I divided how many miles by how many gallons, and well, it came out at 48.48 miles per gallon. That's not right, it's wrong. And I did fill up with a different pump, which probably gave me a different height. I clicked twice both times, but the first time I filled up from near empty. So we can't go by the fill up economy. We've got to go by the computer economy. The good news is I know the computer's accurate. I've had the car 8.5 years, and every time I fill up, yes, I'm one of these people who does this, I've recorded my fill up on a website, and I've filled up 619 times over the last 100 and I believe it's 187,000 miles, 187,000 miles, nearly 188,000 miles. And every time I fill up, I compare what the app tells me in economy compared to what the computer tells me, and it's usually very close. When the car was new, it used to be optimistic. If it said I got 40 to the gallon, I'd actually got 38.5 or 39 to the gallon or something. So it's always a little bit less than it claims. As the car has got more miles on it, particularly over 100,000 miles, it's gone the other way. Now, if it says I've got 40, I've actually done 41, maybe even 42. So the car's getting more pessimistic as it gets older. So I'm going to go with the 41.5 miles per gallon. We're going to use that because I think that's more accurate. It's very hard to measure accurate fuel economy because people say this lies, although I know that's pretty good. But when you fill it up to the brim, when you fill it up with the pump, you never really know exactly where the fuel level is anyway, because it can click off at different heights. Even if you do 2 or 3 clicks, it's always going to be slightly different. On a really big journey where you're using a lot of fuel, that difference kind of gets, well, it kind of comes out in the wash, I think is the correct saying. But when you're doing a small journey, using a small amount of fuel, less than a gallon, then that little bit of difference makes a big difference to your overall economy. So 41.9 miles per gallon. I'll tell you the journey time. I'll put that on screen now. I can't use the computer journey time, so I realised I had the ignition on when I was filming, so the journey time actually was longer. But I had it filming at the beginning of the run, at the end, so I know the start time and the finish time. So I'm going to use that instead, and I'll do that for the second run as well, so we can accurately compare journey times. But now I'm going to have to go and do the eco run. Okay, start time of this run is 15:56. Now it's time to be economical, so I'm going to be coming off the gas early, letting the car slow down, braking gently when needed, and accelerating gently and changing up the gears as early as I can and being in the highest gear possible without making the engine struggle. If the engine is struggling, then you are using more fuel. So this time when I'm approaching the roundabout, I'm coming off the gas early, braking gently, going down to second gear, getting most of that for free, and now accelerating gently as I go around the roundabout. And as soon as I can use the next gear, which is a roundabout now, I will up into third and gently accelerate up to the speed limit. I will be doing the speed limit when I can. I'm not going to drive slowly, I'm just going to accelerate slowly. 24.8 miles to the gallon so far, 25. I'm already starting to come off the gas because I know there's a roundabout here. Down into third, mirror signal left, a little bit of brake just to show the brake lights. Got to give way this time, last time I didn't. Oh, no, I've got a shield so I can carry on. 27.1, a nice gentle acceleration. This is actually more like how I normally drive, so this is becoming more natural to me. I'm not having to actively try and prod the gas and press the brake hard, brake late. It's really smooth, gentle driving with minimal use of the brake. Got a good shield here on the mini roundabout, so I know I can go. I'm at 27.5, and now I'm going uphill. Just coming off the gas, so I don't have to use the brake up here. Now I can fit through there, so I'm going to go for a nice low speed. Gradually accelerate. Again, accelerating uphill, that's where you do use fuel. But if you do it more gently, you use less than if you accelerate harshly. So I anticipated they were going to pull out in front of me. I've been off the gas for a long time. Minimal braking needed. Most of the time I was approaching them, I was off the gas pedal and it was slowing down without using fuel. I'm not using stop start in this test because it doesn't work very well in this car. If it works well, I'll use it, but when the engine restarts itself, it does shake the whole car. And if you try to move away immediately after it starts, it even stalls sometimes, it loses power, and it's always been the way. From new, it's been like that. It feels like an afterthought. Some systems are better than others, but I don't think using the system in this car actually does it a lot of good, so I tend to avoid it. I'm not sure if I've got a better economy figure at this stage of the trip than I did last time. I wouldn't be surprised if I haven't, because I've had a bit more traffic this time. Had to wait at those traffic lights for quite a while, and one of my cameras stopped working and I had to pull the battery and restart it, which meant I had to pull over at the side of the road. So I've had an extra stop than the non-economical run. However, I'm sure throughout the course of this journey, I'll soon make that up. Every time I see a hazard, I'm slowing down very gently, because when you're slowing down, you're not using any fuel. And quite often when you get there, you find out that you don't need to stop. And if you're approaching a junction by slowing down early, on the way there you have plenty of time to start to plan your entrance. You can see what's going on and you can think, maybe I can go after, say, that white car. And you can time your approach to get there after the white car. You can go a little bit slower, a little bit earlier, so you get there just after them, or maybe not slow down quite so much, so you get there maybe even just before them if you want to go before a car. So you can time your entrance so that you don't have to stop as often. This car doesn't actually mind fifth gear at 30 miles an hour. It seems to be smooth. There is still acceleration if I want it. I'm not sure if it is more economical, because if I go to fourth gear, it doesn't ask for it, so therefore it's probably not much in it. I may as well use fourth gear if the car's not asking for it, but sometimes I do use fifth. In some cars, all cars are different. In some cars it will ask you to use fifth. In my MX-5 it asks me to use sixth at 30, and I think, oh, that's way too high, but it does actually work quite well. So there, as soon as I saw that van, started braking as early as I could so I could brake as gently as I could. And now accelerating gently again, and I've got 35.1 miles to the gallon. I'm off the gas at the moment. Still off the gas, and I'm maximising my time when I'm off the gas. I'm using it now, but another roundabout here, mini roundabout, so I'm off the gas now, no need to be on it. A little bit of brake, I can see someone wants to turn, so I need to wait for them, and my exit is blocked. Coming into a national speed limit now, 60 miles per hour, so I'm accelerating very gently. I've got 37.2 miles per gallon so far. I'm pretty sure that's higher than it was last time I'm here. I am going to do the speed limit when it's safe to. As I said, as I've said a few times in this video, I'm not driving slowly. 60 miles per hour, and I'm using the cruise control to help me stay at a steady speed. I'm just going to turn it off and slow down a little bit now to make sure I get to this junction after that car's turned. And I'll re-engage it now, and it will accelerate me back up to 60 miles per hour. When I get to the corners, instead of braking, I'm just trying to come off the gas. I'm not going to go so fast round the bends that it's dangerous, but I'm not going to slow down more than I need to be safe. There's a 30 sign up there, so I'm off the power now. No gas at all. I'm using no fuel. I may not need any brakes. It's not the brakes that actually use the fuel. When I say braking less saves you fuel, it's not like braking uses fuel. It's the fact that if you're having to brake, and if you're having to brake hard, it means you're not maximising the off-gas time when you're not using any fuel. If you can come off the gas and let the car slow down gradually over time, you're not using fuel. But if you use fuel all the way there and brake when you get there, you're using fuel more of the time. And that's why slowing down early over a longer period of time does help your economy. More so in a hybrid, because a hybrid can actually recuperate that energy and then use it later to help you accelerate. Another national speed limit sign. So another gentle acceleration up to 60 or close to 60, whatever's safe for the current conditions. And throughout this road, I'll try not to brake. I'll just try and come off the gas early enough that I won't need to brake. Like I'm coming off the gas now for the bend, slowing down gradually. maybe a little bit of brake. It's a bit downhill, it's not quite slowing down enough. There we go, that's slow enough now. Didn't need much though, and I was off the gas for a very long time, so the hill is helping me with the economy, even though it's not helping me slow down. Up into 6th, probably could have been in 6th gear earlier there, so my error. Gentle acceleration, I'm getting near the speed limit now. I can see far enough to do the speed limit. The distance you can see does look different on camera. I noticed that when I edit the videos. So you may have a different perception of how far you can see to me. But I feel this is safe. Still haven't really used the brake. I used the brake back there just briefly on the bend. Coming off the power again now. It's a little bit uphill this time, so it's slowing down a bit more quickly. And I'm doing between 50 and 60 miles per hour on this road most of the way, which is safe without being too slow. Maybe a little bit of brake here, just can't see as far, and without being over the speed limit either, because I need to be safe and legal. I want to show you that I am doing 60 when it's safe. See, I'm not going slow to try and sort of cheat my way into a very high economy figure by going way slower than I need to. When it's safe for me to get 60, I am doing it. And here's proof, I'm doing 60, and I'm already at 44.6 miles per gallon. I'm off the gas now, just letting it slow itself down. It takes me a lot longer to get to 60, that is true. So on these winding roads, I guess the journey time would be longer, but on roads where you're staying at a steady speed, it won't make much difference. 45.3 miles to the gallon already. I'm interested in what this would do actually. I was thinking it would do about 50. I've had the car a long time. I know roughly what it does when I'm trying to be economical or when I'm not trying to be economical. See, still getting near 60, just slowly bringing it up, coming off the gas now. Less likely to get 60. Bit of a mistake there. I should have come off the gas earlier for that bend. I had to use the brake. If I would have come off the gas earlier, that would have been more of the road for free. But then I wouldn't have reached 60, I guess. So yeah, I don't reach 60 as often because I am coming off the brake earlier. So overall it is slow. I can see a problem now, so I'm off the power, braking. Didn't have this problem last time I was here. I wonder what's happening here. This is not going to help my economy. Move on, sir. Clear the way. Are they actually having a conversation? No. Aha! Now it makes sense. He's saying, get out of the way, there's a big vehicle coming. Okay, I'm going to go over here, try and help this massive yellow thing past. Ah, well yeah, that makes more sense, thank you. And hopefully you'll let all the cars behind him pass now. It is that time of year. The farmers are having to harvest their crops, and it's been really hot lately, so it's dry. I imagine they're at work. Very busy time for farmers. On these windy roads, I tend not to use, this is quite a sharp end, I tend not to use the cruise control because I find varying the throttle can help me get a better economy. I've actually got the constant consumption up here. And if I come off the gas partially, you'll see that the fuel economy still goes way up into like the hundreds. So if I see a bend up ahead and I want to slow down even more gently than coming off the gas, I can come off the gas just partially, like now for example, keep that number high so my average goes high without needing to come off the gas fully. Now I'm off the gas fully and I'm using no fuel, and now I'm on the gas. I'm accelerating now, so I'm using quite a bit of fuel, that's why it's 20 to the gallon. But now I'll partially come off the gas and those numbers will shoot right up into the hundreds. Don't need to be fully off the gas here, just partially off. But if I have a road where 30 miles an hour, say, is really easy to achieve and it's a 30 limit, I will use the cruise control because that way I can stay at a consistent set speed. I know I don't need to slow down unless I see a hazard because 30 is really easy. But on these roads, I use the manual control of the gas pedal. Looks like I can go faster here. There There we go, 50, up into 6. Should have done that a while ago. My error again, I forgot about that. Off the gas, braking a little bit. And now I can see further. I can keep my speed. Let's see what the average is now. Where is that? There it is. Average, 48 miles to the gallon. Wow. That's higher than I was expecting it to be by now. Good, didn't need to use the brake there. Success, big tractor, gonna use the brake. Because yeah, that was big and there wasn't that much room left. He did move out of the way when we got closer, but initially there wasn't really a big space next to them. There's a big one, very big tractor. Just over halfway now, done 21 miles, moving away from Malden and towards Tiptree, Essex. 48.6 miles to the gallon. This is a 60 stretch of road. Might be able to get, oh no point going up to 60 now. I can see that's a 30 from my eyesight. It looks like a 30. So no point touching the gas now at all. Just let the hill, oh, maybe there is because it is slowing down a bit too quick. That's where partial gas can actually help. And try and time it so I reach 30. There we go, a little dab of brake. I reach 30 at the 30 sign, so I don't do it earlier than I need to, nor later. And now this is where cruise control is actually really helpful, where 30 feels incredibly slow and it can just keep me at this constant speed. If I see a hazard, I'll just use the brake and start to slow down. I find a constant speed usually gives better economy. Many people disagree. They say speeding up and slowing down increases it. I'm not sure how that works, because speeding up uses more fuel, and of course when you slow down you save fuel, but the trade-off is you save less than you use going faster. So if you can stay at the same speed, then surely that's more economical. I think if you use the hills to help you, maybe speed up down the hill and slow down a bit as you go uphill, that can increase fuel economy. But then I'm not trying to be extreme here. I'm trying to drive at normal road speeds. I don't want to slow down up this hill. It's a 30 limit, it's quite a big road, I'm going to do 30, and neither do I want to go over the speed limit down a hill, which is why I'm not taking those measures. I'm just trying to accelerate gently and brake gently and use the highest gear possible. Simple advice that can make a big difference to your wallet. I'm in the village of Tiptree again, 26 miles complete, and I've done 50.8 miles to the gallon. 50 miles per gallon, that is a significant figure. If you get 50, that is very good, especially from a petrol, 1.4 litre turbo petrol this engine, 140 PS of power officially and 250 newton meters of torque, although on the dyno it comes out at closer to 150 PS or 147 brake horsepower and 300 newton meters. Some of the hybrids these days can do much better figures than that, but I'm still impressed. That's saving me quite a bit of fuel compared to the first run. I'll work it out at the end, but I have the 70 mile per hour road coming up soon, and I'm sure I'll get less miles per gallon on that road than I have on these. Just leaving the village of Fearing now. National speed limit. Can do 60 here and soon 70. I'm sure that's not going to do a lot of good for my fuel economy. 51.6. When I get up to the highest speed, that will be significantly lower, but I'm going to accelerate as gently as I can. And if I can do 70, I will, to keep it fair. This is the slip road. So 70 now. Indicating right, keeping up with the cars. Keeping what's behind and what's in front. 60 miles per hour, and I've got cars in the right lane at the moment, so I can't move over to go past the lorry, so I have to wait for an opportunity. Car on the left's waiting, that's good. I don't have to brake for them. And this car's kind of hovering in my blind spot. I'm nearly doing 70 anyway. I don't know how this lorry's doing 70. I thought they were limited to 56. I'm doing about 65. Let's go down to the digital speedos and get an accurate speed. 63. Cars are braking. It looks like lane 2 isn't going much faster. I'm not sure if there's any point. Going a little bit faster. Got an opportunity to move, so I will try and get up to 70 if the traffic allows. At the moment the traffic is allowing 64 miles per hour. I'm doing the same speed as the car in front. I'm not catching them or leaving them. 65 now. I'll try my best to stay at 70 as much as I can. Everyone's slowing down now in lane 2. Seemed like a bit of a pointless exercise coming here. Really isn't much faster than lane 1 at the moment, and lane 1 is mostly empty. Just finished the 70-mile-an-hour road. There's a bit of 40 in there as well as before, and actually my economy's gone up to 54. I think it was because of the stretch of 40 mile per hour. But I was quite surprised actually. I thought going 70 or close to 70 would have brought that down. I was doing between 65 and 70 through most of the bit where I was allowed to do 70, but that's similar to last time. I did a similar speed both times. To be fair though, this car does seem to get between 47 and 51 miles per gallon if I do a very big cross-country trip of hundreds of miles. So at motorway speeds it is actually quite economical. Coming back through Colchester now, past the leisure centre, 37.9 miles done, 54.5 miles per gallon. This is surprising me. This is better than I thought. I'm not usually this economical. I am trying to be a bit more than usual by being even more gentle with the gas and slowing down even more gently for the hazards. Oh, got to wait here because I can't go into this until I can fit past it. Shame I'm not in lane 2, probably the better lane. I can fit now, so I'll go. Oh, that cost me some fuel having to wait there. 54.2. Oh no. And I got some traffic. This traffic wasn't here before. 17:10. Getting into rush hour now. I was hoping to get all this filming done before this time, but it always takes longer than I expect. Never mind. So it's not going to be the most accurate test with this traffic. We'll see how bad it is. This has actually been overall a worse run than the first run. Even though I've got a higher economy, the run's actually been harder for economy because I haven't been stuck behind people. I was stuck behind a bus for ages doing 30 and a 60, so that was making my economy go up. And I was stuck behind 2 slow cars doing about 30 to 40 and a 60. On this run, I've only been stuck behind 1 car, so overall I've actually been driving faster, although I haven't been accelerating as fast. But this traffic may change all of that. That traffic took quite a few minutes. I'm through it now. The economy just kept dropping. It was got down to 52.7, starting to rise again now. Well, there is actually some a silver lining to this. Despite the worst conditions, I've still got better economy. So just goes to show, accelerate gently, brake early or slow down early. Avoid braking if you can, just come off the gas. And even if there's traffic, you still get better economy. Nearly done now, 39.4 miles done. And it's just a few roundabouts and I'm back at the petrol station. Here we are back at Tesco. Fuel price hasn't come down in that journey, unfortunately. Still £1.89.9 per litre. This is the 25th of January, not January, what am I talking about? 25th of July, begins with a J, but not much else in common. Yeah, 25th of July I'm filming this, so fuel prices are very high. By the time you see this, I hope fuel prices have come down quite a bit. And if you're watching this in the future, I hope they've come down even further. If not, damn it. I was kind of hoping they would come down, but you know, if you're in the future, you know, I don't. Here we are, back at the petrol station, 52.7. I'm going to go to the same pump as last time, that's free this time. 52.7 miles to the gallon, 39.9 miles, and engine off. Time to fill up. Time for some results. The first run I'm going to call the heavy foot run, and the second run I'm calling the eco run. No surprise, both of them were 39.9 miles. How long each one was, I don't know, but I can figure it out when I do the edit and I'll put it on screen. And I'll also put how long that traffic was too, so you can see the difference. Now, the trip computer in the car recorded 41.5 miles per gallon for the heavy foot run and where is it? 52.7 miles per gallon for the eco run. That's a significant difference. I filled up again at the pump, and this time the pump gave me even less fuel. No surprise, it was a more economical trick, but it gave me very little fuel, even though I clicked twice. So that pump is temperamental. I can't go by the clicks of the pump, and I'm going to have to use the car's computer. But luckily, I know from experience that is fairly accurate. What I have done is I've worked out the pence per mile of each trip using the cost of fuel and the trip computer miles per gallon. Firstly, I'll tell you what the receipts say. So I filled up with £7.10 on the first go and £5.72 on the second go, making the second go apparently over 60 miles to the gallon, which I know this car doesn't do. So I've got to disregard that. But using the car's trip computer, pence per mile on the heavy foot run was 21.6 pence per mile, coming to a total of £8.28. And on the eco run, it was 16.35 pence per mile, coming to a total of £6.52. I haven't worked out the percentage. I'll do that during the edit and put it on screen, the percentage saved from doing the eco run, but that looks around about 25%. So there you go. Still got the air conditioning on, still comfortable, still doing the speed limits when safe, just accelerating gently and coming off the gas and letting the car slow down gently with gentle braking when necessary. And I've got like a 25-ish% saving on a nearly 40-mile journey. That's significant. Well, I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking for car insurance, check out the links to Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself on somebody else's car, Collingwood are there for you, because you can do so without affecting the owner's policy. That takes away a big stress from the owner, because you're risking your policy, not theirs. So they're going to be more chilled out when they're helping you learn to drive. Via the link, there's up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card at the moment. If you want to insure your own car, check out the link to confused.com. You fill out one quote form and get loads of quotes back from many insurers to compare who's cheapest. That saves you shopping around, and you can change your car on that quote as many times as you like. This is what I recommend my customers do when they're trying to find out what car they want to buy, because it's quite often counterintuitive as to what car is going to be cheaper to insure than the other. So you get loads of cars, figure out which ones you're interested in, get a quote on confused.com, and then switch the cars over. Doesn't take too long. You get loads of prices, and voila, you know how much it costs to insure each of the cars. And usually people are surprised. Using the links doesn't cost you anything, but it does support the channel, so thank you very much. Subscribe to get my future videos, and until the next one, cheerio.